So for the first time in almost 10 years, the New York Knicks have clinched a playoff spot and they will be better than 500. Are they like one piece or two pieces away from being like real title contenders, or is this just like a run that they're going on?
Well, here's the thing. I personally believe it really all just depends on how good RJ Barrett is probably going to be in the future. Right now, I think he's definitely a decent NBA player, but in the future, you could potentially think that he could actually be a superstar in this league. Can RJ Barrett actually propel himself to be a number three player on a championship team, or potentially even jostle or oscillate with Julius Randle? Can he potentially vault himself up to possibly be on that same level? I think if we can actually do that, then they're really only one piece away. Honestly, I personally believe if you get Kawhi Leonard this offseason, I personally think that's a long shot. But if you get Kawhi Leonard this offseason, you're definitely live to be in the finals. And even this year, in my opinion, I think they're definitely going to be live to make even the Eastern Conference Finals. I just think that they're right now a very good coach basketball team. Right now, they're a very good organization. I know that's definitely difficult to actually accept because they're led by James Dolan. It is the New York Knicks. They're pretty much the sideline show and a quote unquote clown show. And of course, it just seemed like they just turned everything around, especially since the acquisition of Derrick Rose. He's been absolutely phenomenal for them. A lot of people don't necessarily understand this, but Derrick Rose is still a bucket. He doesn't necessarily have the athleticism that he had before, but he's still a bucket. He'll still come in and give you 20 points. He'll still come in and be a very good player in clutch situations. And I think at that particular point when they did add Derrick Rose, this team got instantly better. This team went from like a 500 team to an actual contender for the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, I agree, man. RJ Barrett is, he's looking promising. I had my doubts at first his rookie season to the point where I even thought like he was going to be a bust because we all said that was really a two-man draft with Zion Williamson and John Morant. But to say that they're one piece away and bring up Kawhi Leonard, I think that's extreme only because a guy like Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, James Harden, these are the guys, Kevin Durant, these are the guys that make any team a contender, and you really don't need much. I'm gonna go and say that if you added a guy, for example, like Damian Lillard, I feel like if you add Damian Lillard to a scrappy team like this, Damian Lillard will have a lot more success, and they will go a lot further and probably be in contention. And this is why I say this: the New York Knicks, like you said, are a very well coached team. Tom Thibodeau is a great coach. He's very well respected, and he has these guys playing defense. What's the number one issue that they have in Portland around Damian Lillard? The lack of defense. Damian Lillard in Portland, they can score with the best of them. Him, CJ, even Nurkic, they can score with any team in this league, but they can't defend. If you can get the number one defense around a guy like Damian Lillard, that's your number one piece to get you in contingency. So I gotta say, man, at first I wasn't a fan of the hype. I didn't believe the hype, but I think if you get a guy like Damian Lillard a guy of his level, then the Knicks can make some serious noise for the foreseeable future.
Look, I'm a Thunder fan and we suck. So the Knicks are the hometown team. So I've been following this and I've been on this hype train. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't think it was gonna get this far. I think in the playoffs they can go on a run, but not a run to the conference final like Rob said. I think that's a little too far. But what they're doing now is going to be very important for their franchise rebuild that just got a jump start once they signed Tom Thibodeau, like Tyler was saying. Like the whole culture of the team changed when he got here. And slowly but surely, the Knicks are becoming a team that superstars are gonna want to come to. Because before it was okay, you have New York, but what else do you have? Like the team was terrible. That's probably why Kyrie Irving and KD didn't join, due to other reasons, because James Dolan is a psychopath. But having a good team and being in New York, that what else do you want? Everybody wants to play in Madison Square Garden. We heard Zion rave about this is his favorite place to play. I feel like if they can get another star and a superstar, they can win a championship. Until then, they're just going to be the scrappy team in New York. They just need to start attracting more and more superstars. So I would have to agree that they're maybe two pieces away from a championship.
Well, let me ask you a question then. I named Kawhi Leonard. What star do you think would turn this team into a contender?
If they get somebody, I agree with I like Tyler's idea of putting Dame there, but what if they do a combination of Carl Anthony Towns and then they knock it down a little bit with the point guard position and they get a star. I can't think of a name right now to put on there, but Karl Anthony Towns with a well above average point guard, I feel like on this team will win the championship.
Well, wait a minute. We gotta talk about realistic figures right now. What are you trading for Karl Anthony Towns? You
So you
trading
put
RJ Barrett for Cat?
Absolutely not. Wait. Hey, wait. If I'm the New York Knicks, I'm doing that in a heartbeat. If I'm the Minnesota Timberwolves, I'm closing the phone.
No. Let's say the Timberwolves ask for a package of RJ Barrett. They want the young guy quickly, IQ, and they also want Obi Toppin, and they want your next 3 first-round draft picks. What's the problem?
I'm gonna tell them to slow down. We'll talk in the coming weeks when they get off their high horse, because that's a boatload for Karl Anthony Towns. Look, and Karl Anthony Towns is one of my favorite players, but as of late he's been dealing with a lot of injury, and I wouldn't give all that up for Karl Anthony Towns.
So now you telling me, because Twitter gonna be talking like how they talked about us not trading Hero for Hard. Now they're gonna say, "Oh, you not trading RJ Barrett, only RJ Barrett for Karl Anthony Towns."
No,
what
I'm not.
Decision is that?
I'm not trading those 3 players and a boatload of draft picks for a injury prone Karl Anthony Towns.
All right.
I mean,
what about you?
I completely disagree with the Karl Anthony Towns choice altogether. I mean, we make fun of Julius Randle because his name is Julius Randle, but let's be honest. At the current moment in time, Julius Randle is playing the best basketball in his life, but he's playing better basketball than Karl Anthony Towns. And let's not even talk. We can't even compare the defense between the two. So I don't think that. Although Karl Anthony Towns is a very nice player, and because he's in Minnesota, he doesn't get recognition. I think that you don't need it to. I feel like that's a step down from Julius Randle. That's almost like a step back, because Julius Randle, we have him. I mean, I have him top 5 MVP candidates right now. I don't think that's the move to make, especially when you got a guy like Mitchell Robinson locking down your paint. I think you got to go with a guard or a wing player, because that right now is what wins in the NBA. But RJ Barrett, man, I don't know if I could let go of RJ Barrett.
Well, speaking of a guard, I mean, you did name Damian Lillard. I mean, I forgot who I think was Yusuf Nurkic that basically quote the trade rumor, and he's basically saying that they need 32 first-round picks.
Yeah.
What would you give up if you're the Knicks? What would you give up for Dame?
If I'm the New York Knicks, you can have anybody on the roster that's not Julius Randle or RJ Barrett. You can have Obi Toppin, you can have Quickly, D Rose, as many picks as you want. If you got Damian Lillard, RJ Barrett, and Julius Randle, I think that's a good move to make. But also, if we're going to be realistic, I think you just got to go through free agency. You don't want to mess up your young core, and you have all of that cap room, all of these assets. You want to try to go through free agency first. I think that'd be the more realistic move.
So you trying to tell me? So you trying to say that they'd potentially get Kawhi Leonard, because that's going to be the best free agent.
I believe that Paul George's performance in these playoffs are going to impact whether Kawhi Leonard stays or not. And I actually do believe that New York is a very big contender for Kawhi Leonard. Like you said, it's not just that they're New York anymore. Look at the team, look at the coaching. Kawhi Leonard actually fits in perfectly with this young, scrappy team, because they're going to give it their all. They seem like they don't care if it's a playoff game, Game 7, open the night. They don't care. They're giving you their all every night. So,
all right. So I'm going to name off a couple of free agents. You have Chris Paul. He has a player option. You also have Mike Conley, Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, Goran Dragic, and Tim Hardaway Jr., even Dennis Schroeder. Which one of those guys you think could possibly be a very good addition?
Here's what I feel. Well, first, Chris Paul is not going to be a free agent. I don't care what nobody says. He has almost $40 million. He's not turning that.
$43 million.
He's going.
You never
anywhere.
know. He in the MVP conversation. He might get a bigger deal this offseason. You never know.
He's not going anywhere. All the other guys that you name, I do think that they are, number 2 options. If I had to give you an answer as to who would be the closest, who would get them there the closest, I would say Victor Oladipo, just because of the potential. Because if he can get back to that, he fits in, he plays defense, he can score. Like Adrian said, he does need to work on his playmaking, because that's what's like the weakest part about his game. But yeah.
And Victor
I'm gonna tell you,
Oladipo, if I'm not mistaken, is probably the youngest player on that list, and that's the main reason I didn't really entertain the Chris Paul thing, because with the young core that you have in New York, you want to try to keep the team nice and fresh.
Mm-hmm.
well, Dennis Schroeder's fairly young, but one thing I do want to add about Victor Oladipo, I mean, when he was actually playing for Miami, when he was in the starting lineup, our team gave up 77 points per 100 possessions. That number right there is historically great. Historically great. So defensively, Tom Thibodeau would absolutely love Victor Oladipo. I personally think as a point guard, he'd probably slot right in with the New York Knicks. I personally don't want to give him because I think defensively, I mean, when he plays for us, it's absolutely suffocating.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Victor Oladipo is really one of the underrated players in the league right now. I know you guys remember earlier in the season when we were talking about the trade deadline and who we want to see moved. I actually did bring up I think Victor Oladipo should go to the New York Knicks. I feel like he would be a great addition to that team.
Well, yeah, I mean, people always talk about Victor Oladipo offensively needing to get back, and obviously, we understand that Victor Oladipo could definitely be a bona fide or perennial All Star in this league. I just think that right now, his defensively, he's as good as he's ever been. He's
Yeah.
elite.